So, tell me something terrible.
All right, with that burp you just started?
I will not keep that burping.
I hope not.
That would, like, if someone got in the car and left to go to work and started driving and that came on with it.
No, it would piss you off so bad.
Yeah, well, you'd, like, crash.
Yeah, you'd be like, I'm done.
Hell, oh my God.
These people.
All right. It will definitely have picked up that mouse clunking that I just did, but we're in a better place now.
Okay, everything's...
Figuratively and literally, it's...
Between the burp and the adjustment, everything's good?
Yes.
Okay.
I think so.
Oh, no, it's allergy season. I'm going to have to, like... I'm going to have to pregame the podcast with allergy pills.
It's a good way to go about it.
Yeah.
I need a pot of coffee and some allergy pills.
Yep, because we're getting old, so I'm not sniffly. So next time I'll make sure, remind me to take my gluten-free Claritin.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
With your daily vitamins.
Yes, which I didn't take today.
Because you never do.
They're
They're your monthly vitamins. They're good. That's better than never.
I've been doing way better this week.
Okay.
Since you were like, take some vitamin... Which one? B? D?
D.
Take some vitamin D.
Glucosamine.
And we do have
your
glucosamine.
multivitamins.
We have glucosamine, don't we?
Yeah.
Okay, I should start taking that too then.
I mean, if you actually did yoga, you'd be fine too. Anyway, last week, because you talked about a topic that I'm passionate about in sports, we rambled a lot.
We did.
Especially in the first half before you ruined it.
I did.
So this week, we should just jump in once you're done eating that fresh slice of Parmesan.
Aldi's Parmesan.
Yeah.
Okay.
Parmesan. I'm not going to try to even say that.
Mm-mm. So I'm just going to forewarn people right from the get.
Hi, I'm Scott.
Oh, yeah. Hey, I'm Scott. I'm Tiffany. I almost said I'm Scott. I'm Tiffany.
And you're listening to Tell Me Something Terrible. Or Tell Me a Lie, like your name's not your name.
I told you, I have no actual personality or substance of my own. I just parrot everyone around me.
Sometimes, yeah,
including
with a mistaken identity.
Yeah, so I'm gonna grow out a beard. I'm gonna shave my head.
You could get extensions off your face, probably.
Maybe. I don't. My upper lip hair comes in pretty thick sometimes.
Yeah, just get a couple of your lip rings back, and you can just tie it all. Anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, so I'm gonna forewarn people right from the get. If you are squeamish. You might not.
All right. See you guys later.
Yep. Yeah.
As I slide away from the table.
So you might not want to like listen to this episode, maybe, or you won't enjoy it. Maybe just get through it. You'll be fine.
There'll be some really good food pairings that you probably shouldn't have. We'll try to mention those as we go.
If you can think of a food pairing for this,
I meant like what it would look like. So if you're like at home eating like ravioli and it looks like chunks of flesh and like blood, like that, like that's what I'm talking about.
Maybe don't drink red wine with this.
No, I'll go for it.
Yeah. So today Scott peeked at my notes because I'm really bad at closing out my browser.
Yeah, I peeked at your notes. You were reading it on gigantic font in a window on a huge monitor as I walked by. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, don't walk by. We've got a big ass house. Walk literally anywhere.
No.
So today we're going to be talking about not an event or a story. We're going to learn science. So we're going to learn about blood spatter.
Mm-hmm.
Ready?
Sure.
Okay. Good thing you don't have wine today.
Mm-mm.
So I'm definitely not an expert. I didn't study a damn thing. And this is just going to be more about like fun facts, cursory glance into blood spatter. And if you have any other like fun facts that I don't include, message us because I love this nerdy shit.
Right? Yep.
This
is like science and you get the physics and all that stuff, right?
Yes.
Sweet.
So, are you ready for the fun facts?
Sure.
Okay.
Also, blood is the reason I didn't go to... Yeah, I stopped at the biochemistry degree because I was like, no.
Yeah, I don't want to go to med school.
I don't, yeah.
I mean, you deal with blood right now.
It comes in tubes, spun down, like, it's nothing like that.
From the source?
Yeah, it's not warm.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes it's not warm. Sometimes it's clotted. It just really depends on when they get there.
Yeah, no, it all clots eventually.
Yeah.
That's when we spin it. Anyway.
So I'm going to go all Webster Dictionary on this, taking it back to our, like, shitty 9th grade speech class. Blood spatter analysis is defined...
And it's not splatter.
Spatter.
Don't feel bad if you thought it was splatter. It's a common problem. But it is spatter.
Spatter. I don't know why.
Because that's probably the, adjective of spit.
That's a gross way to think about it.
I don't know.
My artery is spitting blood.
Yeah.
It's spatting blood. So, blood spatter analysis is defined as the interpretation of blood stains at a crime scene in order to recreate the actions that caused the bloodshed.
That's your turn left at the stop sign voice.
My GPS voice. So, analysts draw conclusions about the events to be used as support evidence or supply clues that helps lead to actual substantial evidence. This is done by examining the size, shape, distribution, and locations of the spatter. It is also a very controversial evidence that can be used in the wrong way, so it's only used to support theories and sort of guide the police and detectives in the right direction.
Okay.
And not necessarily as a solid foundation to put someone away for murder that they didn't commit, which has happened. Like the dingo ate my baby story. How much do you know about that guy?
I listened to an entire podcast about it.
Okay, so you know a decent amount. So then you know then that the analysts said that there was a bloody handprint on that it wound up turning out just to be red clay. There's also blood allegedly found inside of the family vehicle because the story is that the mom went into a tent and saw, there were dingoes around all day long, and they were kind of stalking them, and they were in a big group of people, and they were sitting out by a campfire, and then she'd put her baby down in the tent to sleep. And the mom heard some noises. So she went into the tent and saw a dingo snatching her baby. Yeah. She says. That's actually what happened. They wound up finding a skeleton later and clothes and stuff in a den, and they also were able to prove that a dingo's baby, a dingo's mouth can unhinge at the jaw essentially and can fit a child's head into its mouth and carry it away.
Yeah. So
the analysts said that they'd found a bunch of blood spatter inside of the family vehicle, so it couldn't have been a dingo. It had to have been them that killed the baby inside their car and then blamed it on a dingo.
Yeah.
And it turned out that was just some spilled juice and some brake fluid.
Yeah.
Fun.
Yeah.
So it can be
all the red liquids.
Yes. So it can be misinterpreted. You have to make sure that that it is more
substantiated.
Yes. And they also do and also there's the staircase. I haven't made you watch that documentary yet.
No. We started watching it.
Yes. So
did you finish it?
No, I only got 2 episodes in.
Yeah, you got as far as I did then.
Yeah. No, I think I watched one more after you.
No, sounds like exactly where I was.
Maybe. Anyway.
And you're always the problem when it comes to watching any shows.
I am. I get distracted because I'm like, did you know? Shut up, bitch.
Well, and your free time is spent listening to podcasts. Hardly ever watching TV by yourself.
So in that case, there was such there was a lot of blood, and there was a lot of smeared blood, and there was a lot of blood that came from her body. So when you have that massive amounts of blood, it's really hard to determine any type of pattern. Yeah,
opposed to just a single gunshot.
And also that analyst, he actually he had withheld information from the defense that would have helped them in their case, and then he also got slapped with a perjury charge.
Okay.
So you have to make sure that when you bring in a blood analyst to court as a witness, you have to make sure that they are reputable. You have to make sure that they have a lot of experience. You have to make sure that the blood analysis that they did was recreatable. You have to make sure that there was a peer review, and you also have to expect the defense to just tear them apart. And then a lot of times the defense will bring in their own third-party blood spatter analysis, I think it's blood pattern analysis, to sort of refute, in order to refute any evidence and stuff. So it's a very, like I said, it's more of a support evidence than it really is rock hard nail somebody down evidence. Yeah. Unless you find fingerprints in somebody's blood spatter.
Or blood spatter on their face from yeah.
Yep. Which, guns produce different types of spatter. And sometimes if you're at close enough range, when you shoot somebody at like point blank range, it can actually suck blood into the barrel like of the gun because spatter goes both directions.
Like if it's pressed up against the...
Yeah. So yeah, like next to somebody, not only are they going to get burn marks from the gun and the gunpowder and like residual like gunpowder, they're also going to find the blood inside of the muzzle of the gun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Muzzle is correct because of muzzle loaders. Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure, I would have gone with barrel, but...
I mean, yeah, I guess it doesn't really matter what you call it.
I don't think you have to have a muzzle at the end of a barrel.
Okay, maybe. I don't know. I know muzzle loaders are really long, and I guess you're not really going to, like, put a muzzle loader against somebody's skin and pull the trigger. It's probably a handgun.
That's ruthless.
Yeah, or like a sawed-off shotgun. That would be miserable. They already kind of spray everywhere. That just sounds...
Might miss. I'm just kidding.
Just no blood spatter, just bullet sprays everywhere.
Yeah. If Andy was aiming it, it would miss. Hope he's listening.
Oh, that's so mean.
It's just a Call of Duty joke.
Oh, that's so mean. So anyway, a lot of this stuff, you just essentially, it's an art and a science. You have to kind of take it with a grain of salt. Ready to get started?
Sure.
Okay. So we are going to start with the stains. There are 3 categories: passive stains, transfer stains, and projected or impact stains.
Disdains.
Yeah, I feel like my mic is real. Can I adjust it without making a bunch of noise?
I don't know.
Okay.
I won't edit it out.
All right.
Have you met the production team on this?
He's a little busy.
It's a real crapshoot.
Yes. I think shit show is what you're looking for. Trying to keep it PG with crapshoot.
No, I think there's just more words out there that don't have to have, I like to broaden beyond the 4 letters.
Crap still has 4 letters.
That's fine. I just meant, yeah. Don't judge my words, lady. I like the term crapshoot. I think it makes a more terrible visual.
It really does.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Thank you.
Ew. When you put the visual aspect into it, like I'm kind of just struggling to move on from this point.
That's fine. Let's get this crapshoot moving.
No. No.
Yep.
So transfer stains are pretty self-explanatory, I hope, by now.
It's like wiping your ass.
Yep. It also works, similar to cross-contamination. Mm-hmm. You touch an object with blood on it and touch it to a surface. Blood will transfer to that surface, leaving a print behind.
Only if you have those sweet purple glasses on. CSI?
Oh.
When they had, they'd spray everything and then put
luminol?
on... Yeah, and then put on their, black light glasses.
Mm-hmm. Yep, so luminol can help detect blood that's even been bleached and wiped away. Uh-huh. So that's part of... I literally did not write luminol one time in this entire paper. Luminol, guys, is real important to blood spatter analysis. If it's dried, if it's
not
been
if
cleaned,
you wrote
if
about
it's
it.
been bleached. Clearly not. It's because they've used other stuff too. Like they use these... We'll get to it. Anyway... So this can leave a print behind, so handprints, fingerprints, shoe prints, etc. It's also applicable to objects that are covered in blood that sit down on a surface.
You were talking too fast for me to make a canvas print joke, but don't think I didn't have it queued up.
Oh, dang it. Do you need to slow down?
No, you're doing great.
Okay. I was waiting for the sweetie on that one.
I was too busy eating cheese already.
So any object that's covered in blood that was set down will also leave a print, so the weapon. This can help determine what was moved, where the perpetrator has touched, and it will hopefully leave a nice full, thumbprint there so that it can be used as DNA evidence. Depending on if you're smart and wearing gloves or not.
Just those little thumb condoms that secretaries wear.
Just everywhere on your fingers?
Yeah.
Yeah. I've worn those before, with cuts on my fingers when I'm doing facials.
Well, ours aren't the disposable ones. They're just... they make little rubber ones for flipping through papers.
There was a case that I cannot remember where there was a doctor who was a family annihilator, and they had found not his thumbprint, but the prints from a nitrile glove that was covered in blood for where he touched his glasses and moved them up his face. Mm-hmm. So they couldn't find any of his fingerprints because he was wearing gloves, but they found a glove print. So if you're going to commit murder and you don't want to leave trace prints behind, maybe use latex that's completely smooth. instead of nitrile gloves that could leave little dots.
Okay. Thanks for giving that tips and tricks of the trade.
So then there are also passive stains, which include drops, flows, and pools, and are usually the result of gravity pulling on the blood from the body. You queasy yet?
No, and I just had a flashback because what's her face? Lucy's talked about this on Wine and Crime.
Probably.
Super early on. I remember they did a thing about blood spatter.
Yeah. See, I was trying not to do things in podcasts that I listened to, but I've listened to that so long ago that now I'm like, shit.
No, when you said the pools, it just triggered that memory of I remember them talking about it.
Yeah.
So I don't remember it because that was a while back anyway. Good. But I'm at least familiar with it.
Yeah. So the drops, flows, and pools, which are considered low velocity patterns that typically result from flows.
So high viscosity.
It's velocity, not viscosity.
Jokes.
Physics, not also physics. Is viscosity a physics thing or is it a biology thing?
I think it would be physics.
It's a state of a matter, right?
No, it's like the rate of flow.
Oh.
Like ketchup has a high viscosity compared to mustard.
Okay. So the flows and pools are usually a good indicator.
Why did you just give me the blankest stare?
It's just out of all of the things that you could, I guess food's probably the best comparable.
That's always it's always about ketchup. I don't know why. The viscosity of ketchup, you've never heard that?
No. It's water.
It's like a joke, like the government spends money on researching the viscosity of ketchup or something. It's an expression.
Riveting.
It's a real crapshoot.
Tell me more.
You just keep looking at me, just egging me on to give you deets of this sweet saying you've never heard of. Now you know.
Now, the more you know.
I always want to do the reading rainbow thing with that, but it's the star. I know the difference. But
yeah, well, no, it's because there's a SpongeBob. There's a SpongeBob episode where he's like, "The more you know," and it's a rainbow. All right. You didn't have cable growing up. You don't know
The only SpongeBob I ever watched was at Jamie's house because he watched SpongeBob, as you should know by now. It was on background, when we go to bed.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine just having that laugh just permeate your sleep. It would be awful.
You know me. You could.
Nothing permeates your sleep.
No.
So the flows and pools are usually a good indicator on how much blood was lost when a strike happens, and whether it was one big strike that caused massive bleed outright or just one smaller one. Pretty sure that we can figure out what drops mean. It's kind of self-explanatory, depending on their
rain, but with blood
drops.
Wow.
So depending on their shape and size, they can help determine the volume of blood loss and the time that has passed since the crime occurred through clotting, and the angle and speed that the blood had dripped from the body, based on the size and the roundness of the drop stain. Drops can also be evident in things like cast off and blowback from gun wounds. So now we're going to get into the fun patterns and the big splashy patterns or the small splashy patterns. Like
those psychology test things?
The
what do you see? The
Rorschach?
Yeah.
Yep, Rorschach?
I knew the word.
Yeah.
And I've seen, what was that movie?
The Watchmen.
The Watchmen.
Yes.
All I could think of, was not. I was like,
that's the only reason why I know the name of that. Those.
Yeah, no, I was trying to think of it, and I was like, it's got an R and a W. I don't know.
Yeah, it's confusing. It's named after the psychiatrist. Where all of them look like nipples or animals. No? All right.
Tell me about your interests.
Nipples and insects, clearly. So, impact splatter. There was a gunshot. There's gunshot spatter and gunshot injury spatter, cast off, arterial spray, expirated spatter, and sharp force injuries and blunt force injury spatter, which is aka bloodshed events. Sharp force injuries are caused from pointy object that has a relatively small surface area, such as a knife, an ice pick, or an icicle.
Or a hat pin. I'm telling you, we need to bring the hat pin back. Anybody gets too close, you're going to get stabbed with a hat pin. I want a hat pin murder in one of these episodes.
Yeah.
Or hat pin crimes.
We can do that.
You think there's a whole fraternity or What would it be?
Sorority of women still today, just walking around stabbing strangers with hat pins,
like a Hall of Fame of hat pin crimes.
Oh, there has to be. We do like a good feminist crime, right?
I don't write them.
I like a good feminist crime.
No, yeah, I'm all for it.
So
we're empowering a young woman.
Yes. So this leaves less blood deposited on the object, which results in smaller, more linear patterns of stains. Blunt force, on the other hand, which either takes the form of like hitting or beating, and are usually larger from like objects like a bat, a hammer, a car. And since there's a much more larger surface area, it collects more blood on the weapon, which produces a wider array of different sized droplets.
Okay.
Makes sense so far?
Yeah.
Physics.
It's, dropping a giant item in ice opposed to dropping a,
Yeah. So expirated spatter comes from blood being expelled from the lungs. It's usually foamy, very fine mist, and is filled with little air bubbles. This is usually caused by an internal injury.
Mousse.
Exactly. It's whipped up blood. This is usually caused by an internal injury. Arterial spray happens when an artery is severed. Blood spurts out with every beat of the heart, so it usually results in an arcing pattern consisting of large individual stains that usually shorten, creating a new pattern every time the heart pumps as it gets weaker, and you would have less blood in your body.
Yeah.
It's a good visual, right?
Yeah, it's like when you unplug the fish tank and it slowly dies out.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's shorter and shorter, and then it's gone.
Yep. So there's gunshot spatter. So there are two kinds, one from an entrance wound and one from an exit wound. The blood is projected forward from an exit wound, which is typically results in like a fine mist. And then blood is projected backward from an entrance wound and typically results in larger and few drops.
Okay.
So yeah.
So wherever the bigger drop is usually the side they're shot from.
Into. Yeah. Yep. So pretty much there's blood coming out of both sides of you. If there's also an exit wound, because sometimes there's not an exit wound. Sometimes like the bullet just gets lodged inside of you.
Yeah.
You know, like 22s.
Ping pongs around.
That's what 22s do. That's why they're ideal for the zombie apocalypse. Headshot, it ping pongs around inside of there because the bullet's not big and strong enough to. Yep. All right. You don't read the same books as I do.
No, you. No, I know what you're talking about. The whatever. What's his name? Maxim.
Oh God. It's the zombie survival guide. Anyway, it's great. World War Z, the book is better. So the caliber of the gun, where the victim was struck, and how far apart the victim and the shooter were from one another, and how far the victim is from other objects nearby that would get covered with blood spatter, that all varies and can change the size of the droplets. It's super complicated. And lastly, there's cast-off spatter. This results from objects being swung in an arc that then flings blood onto nearby surfaces. This occurs when an assailant swings their weapon back and forth for an additional blows to the body.
It's centrifugal motion.
Yes. So when it stops, you can tell because there's also a cessation cast-off pattern that creates droplets from like
a what?
Cessation.
Okay.
That's the term for it. Look, there's a whole glossary on this PDF I found. It was like a 22-page.
I was expecting to be a word I at least could like root word it out. I have no idea.
No, cessation, like stop, like cease.
Cease?
Cease. Cessation.
Cessation.
No. Okay,
cease.
Look.
No, that's fine.
It starts with a C. Not. Anyway, look, I can find the PDF if you really want me to.
Fine. I was just.
Yeah, so it's caused from rapid deceleration.
Okay.
Yep. So analysts can usually determine how many blows were made based off of the number of arcs and the direction based on things like spines and tails and satellites. So now we're going to get into those little bits next.
Nice.
So side note.
It's very creature-ish with spines and tails.
Yes. So side note, while typing all of these like scripts out for the podcasts that I've been doing lately, Google really loves to correct my odd colloquialisms. Like I didn't realize that I had that many odd phrases in my vernacular until you get those little blue squiggles underneath and they're like, this is grammatically incorrect.
Yeah.
So apparently the phrase isn't based off of this information or based off this information. It's based on. And I am 32 years old and just now realized that I've been using that phrase incorrectly my entire life.
maybe there's maybe why not both?
Yeah, why not both? I'm from the Midwest. Piss off. We got some weird sayings. I don't know what you want from me. So now, are you ready to learn about spines and tails?
Sure.
Okay. You hanging in okay so far?
Sure.
Okay. So the shape of the droplets from the blood events and impact spatter, these can be affected by factors like the angle of impact, velocity, distance traveled, and the type of surface that the droplets land on, such as like a smooth tile or linoleum where if there isn't any like friction affecting the droplet, the edges of the droplet tend to be like nice and smooth. Where if it hits carpet that's more textured and can be absorbing the liquid, the edges of the droplet can start to get all fuzzy looking.
Okay.
So the shapes can range from perfectly spherical to elliptical. So nice round circle stains result from blood dripping straight downward. And then as the angle of the blood that has left the body starts to decrease from vertical down to horizontal, the drop becomes more elliptical. And there's a formula for figuring it out. A math formula.
Oh, yeah.
Are you super excited?
What
You want
other
to know
formula? Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, like, formulas like make
Chemical
things.
formula?
Yeah. No, this one's a math formula. So it is the angle of impact is equal to the arc sine multiplied by the stain width, which is divided by the stain length.
Okay.
That's calculus, right? Sines and like
Yeah.
cosine and tangents, that's all calculus, right?
Sure.
Yay, math.
I knew we'd use that someday.
Someday. I'm trying to figure out how and why, not the why, but how somebody was murdered. So tails and spines and satellites can help determine which direction the blood comes from. Also, real quick, tails are like the elongated elliptical drops along a cast-off or blood spatter. The spines are the little skinny lines that come off of a single droplet itself. And then satellites are like tiny little mini droplets that sit at the end of spines.
Okay.
And then sometimes if it's if the satellite is small enough and hits at like a very low angle of impact, it can break away from its spine, making the quote exclamation point stain.
These people really enjoyed this part of the
Yeah, no, there's a whole certification that you have to get.
Yeah. But I'm just saying, like, in the naming of it, they were having fun. They weren't being super sciencey and serious.
Somebody got real drunk and was like, you know what this looks like?
It looks like a spine. Let's call it a spine.
Yep. So in a drop that falls pretty much at the 90-degree angle, that drop is as a circle with spines and satellites that are evenly distributed around the edge of the droplet and are pretty much like the same shape and size all the way around.
So it looks like a compass.
Yep.
Cool. That's what my brain said, at least.
Yep. So, I mean, I could pull up pictures if you really wanted me to.
No.
I didn't think so.
We're an audio medium. I like to be on the same level as the listeners.
Yeah, just having to struggle through me and my...
and sometimes I'll Google stuff, but I assume sometimes they're Googling stuff.
Yes, well, and luckily they don't have to like watch me like wave my hands.
Have you seen the clips,
things.
audio clips? If I'm the one talking, like, my hands don't stop moving.
Yeah, that is true.
It's uncomfortable for me.
Yep. So,
Speaking of which, we might be doing something, adding more video medium to what we do.
eventually,
Yeah.
we got recommendations from Jesus Christ, a listener that said that he would like to watch YouTube videos of some of the episodes too.
So we might do like one of those
yeah,
occasionally.
yeah,
But then we have to like
clean.
wear real clothes and vacuum.
Oh, you mean that my Napoleon Pirates sweatpants aren't aesthetically pleasing to the eye?
I mean, we're at a table. I don't care what you have on or don't have on or whatever, you know.
Like, I'd have to wear like a real bra maybe instead of like a sports bra or no bra. Ugh.
I'm out.
Yep, me too. We talked about it. We've discussed it. We've decided maybe not.
Yeah. We'll just point a camera at the bird and you guys can listen to us.
Yeah, right. No one's going to want to see that. So the sizes. As the spatter moves lower and lower, the blood spatter gets cast and it gets casted farther. That's when the shape and the sizes and the spines and satellites change.
I feel like this could be like a David Attenborough script.
Is it because of all my ands?
No, just like I can see it being like a documentary about like murders, but have him like talk about it like they're wild animals. Yeah.
In this blood spatter over here.
Yeah, the spines and the tails.
Absorb.
Absorb.
Absorbed by the carpet.
quite the
Observe was the word I was initially looking for. Who needs the English language? So anyway, these spines and satellites extend in the direction of its travel. So the drop lands and a little strand of it will continue to spatter in the direction it was traveling. Does that make sense at all?
Sure.
Okay.
Move along.
Yep. So once the angle of spatter dips below 75 degrees, that's when all the spines become more prominent. And the angle of impact is important to figure out because we live in like a 3D world, so you don't want to know like necessarily which direction things are coming in. You also need to know how high things were when it made contact with the surfaces. Mm-hmm. Yep. So you can use the directions to figure out where someone was beaten or shot, but then the analysts need to figure out where from the height was. And this helps determine if someone was standing, sitting, laying down, where on the body the wound was inflicted.
Okay.
So void patterns also exist. Although they clearly aren't spatter, they're more like a lack of spatter. This can aid in determining where the assailant was standing in reference to the victim, and it can also determine if something was removed from the crime scene prior to investigators arriving. Then the police and detectives kind of know if they have to look for additional evidence that could be covered in the victim's blood.
Okay.
And that's when like things like luminol come in handy, because you're like, oh, well, this vase was missing, and now it's not. And we found this vase that it could be, and I'm going to shine this black light on it.
Just like that.
Yep, just like that. I'm sure that's exactly their like train of thought.
That's the protocol, actually. If you go look it up in their handbook, yeah, verbatim.
So, with all of this, the size, direction, angle, and the angle of impact is all used to give investigators.
Sorry. It's the angle of impact. It really got me there.
Clearly, gotta make sure you get a good angle of impact.
Yeah, it's all about the size, the whatever.
The direction and the angle of impact.
Mm-hmm. I mean, stop me when I'm wrong.
I mean, you're not wrong. So this all gives investigators in a crime scene where there's blood everywhere an idea of what may have happened. Analysts nowadays use red string to develop a path that the blood took to get to where it landed. They use imaging, and they are now working on using computer models to help render 3D images of a scene. Analysts usually have backgrounds in criminology, biology, chemistry, and physics, and an additional certification through some accredited program in like the FBI and stuff. So blood spatter is not a new science.
I like how you have to be like this hyper like educated and certified like doctor pretty much in this, or like specialist in this field, and then you go to court and you're just like you're kind of a joke.
Yeah People like tear you down, and they're like, what do you mean someone was standing over here and they shot him from that spot? I don't know, math. So this science, I'm going to just hit you with a nice fun fact, things you should know. It was initially studied in 1895 by some dude named Edward Piotrowski, where he used live rabbits, white paper to collect the stains on, and of course a variety of tools to inflict damage to the rabbit.
I was going to say, and then what? What animal and or weaponry is he using on these?
He's using weaponry on live animals and then collecting the prints, for lack of a better... Oh, someone didn't turn off their phone.
Work through it. We're professionals.
Yep.
We're professionals.
Mute that real quick. I actually am not surprised. I'm surprised it hasn't died yet. So that's how the field got started, and it's just sort of grown from there.
The rabbits have grown?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, they're big monster rabbits now. Actually, we're gonna.
They've started doing blood spatter on the analysts.
That's exactly right. The missiles. They really needed to know how the blood spatter from missiles.
What?
Because the rabbits have gotten so big, the only way you can take them out is like with like armored
with tanks.
Yes, armor piercing bullets, and yeah.
Okay.
So
you've gone so far off the rails. I don't even remember what train we were on.
the rabbit train.
No, just
All right, I'm done.
finish your thing.
Yep. How do you feel?
You didn't have sources?
Oh, I do have sources. Yep. So
I assume you're not done if you haven't done sources.
no, sorry. I have sources from howstuffworks.com. Thanks.
Seems legit.
Yep.
How many ads were on that website?
No, I've actually been on How Stuff Works. It's a really simplified like science. It's kind of like how I think there might even be a podcast called How Stuff Works. Oh, it doesn't matter.
There's a podcast called Everything. There's probably a podcast called The Podcast Called Everything.
If not, that should be our second side project.
Yeah, free time.
Yep. So then I also used ncpro.sog.unce.edu, which is
Bless you.
the North Carolina prosecution's resource. So it's actually like a reputable government educational website. And anyway, the PDF that I referenced earlier, it's got photos and glossaries and all the fun facts. It was from forensicsciencesimplified.org. So it has to be legit because it's a .org, right?
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
Yeah. I mean, they had photos, so it seemed pretty, useful, like credible.
Legit?
Yep. Okay. How do you feel about sitting through 25 minutes or so of talking about blood spatter?
No, I'm fine. It's the same thing. If you give me names, I feel terrible. If you give me topics or like mass things, it does. Yeah, it has less like impact.
Even though we talked about seriously,
Rude.
I'm never popular. I'm gonna have to yell at her. It's Murphy.
Oh my god!
I know.
She's a patron. She can do what she wants.
That is true. I just figured with blood spatter, you'd be like, oh, coagulation and like
I don't
all
care.
that gross stuff.
You didn't you didn't have a PowerPoint, so I'm fine.
No, next time though.
Yeah.
We're gonna have PowerPoint.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thanks for listening.
Thanks, guys. Hopefully you learned something fun that you can talk about at cocktail parties and just really ruin anybody that's drinking red wine.
Bring the mood down.
Yeah.
Also, we've started editing the Eloise stuff, and it's more of a project than I want it to be. So stay tuned for that. It's coming, just not today.
Maybe next week.
Maybe.
All
right. Bye.
Bye. Thanks for listening to our terrible podcast. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Podcasts, or wherever you like to listen. Feel free to follow us on Twitter at TMSTPod.
And if you'd like to support the show, you can find us on Patreon at Tell Me Something Terrible.
Oof, that was terrible.